All right, what's going on, guys? It is Tuesday, June 20th, and last night worked out pretty well. I myself took a couple trades. I took a trade on USD and I took a trade on gold, all of which panned out. And I took a late trade earlier today on AUD NZD because of something I've been looking at recently called hidden divergence, which I think is going to play a big role in how we do a lot of things moving forward. So I think it's going to be pretty cool and I think we're going to have some fun. But I wanted to do today's analysis a little bit different than what I've been doing. I think it's because recently, the last two times, I've extended the analysis like over an hour, which, I mean, for those of people that actually give a shit about Forex and trading and have time to look at everything, they're going to be like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Like, let me like dive in the market for an hour. But me as a dad and having a bunch of other things going on in my life, I have to figure out something that's timely and works out for everybody. So what I did was I went ahead and marked up charts for 9 pairs, and I did them very thoroughly. And I also wrote out a why I'm looking at them, what I see on them, and see what we can do. And it's ultimately going to help me refine the process a little bit more. I'm going to create some sort of checklist so that as I go through this, for people that start actually paying attention to the analysis, they can go through the checklist and be like, okay, that's there, that's there, that's there, and have something of a peace of mind instead of doing what I just did, which was go through, like, let's go through here. I have all these time frames. I got the monthly, I got every time frame from the hour and minutes, right? So I got 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, and I got 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 12, and then daily 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day. Like, I do that because I'm trying to see certain patterns and how they play out, and I'm trying to find out every time frame. But the main time frames that I focus on are the 1 minute, 5 minute, mainly the 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly. But in between kind of gives me a little bit more confirmation. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at AUDJPY. And first off, it's hitting a weekly resistance zone. And when I say that, there's this new indicator that I found. It's called, I'll just show you guys so you can take a look. Support resistance channels by Lonesome the whatever. I don't even know his name. What is it? Lonesome the Blue. Okay, so it's just something I found in there because I recently started placing weekly and daily support resistance lines just to kind of give me some more of price action to kind of show me what price wants to do throughout the given week. It does really well in the higher time frames. You know anything about Forex, if the higher the time frame, the more simpler and basic it becomes. So I place my support resistance lines on daily and weeklies. And I found one that instead of just paints me a line, which I can just simply click by clicking Alt H and just placing it, I can have a channel, right? So like right here, you see these boxes right here. This is, instead of it just being one specific line, it's a zone. So I have from this point to this point as a zone of reversal. So if price comes into that area, it would most likely be like looking for a reversal point, a divergence, an M, a head and shoulders, whatever. And same thing for down here. And it pretty much puts it all together to find the strongest points in recent price history and past history, like just farther back, right? It just combines it. So started utilizing that, and just according to this, it's hitting weekly resistance zone. So if I go to the weekly, we'll see here, it's got that whole zone it's taking up in, and that's a good area for resistance. It's also overbought. It's got a shark fin. Daily bearish, hidden divergence. So like that's something that I want to look at right here. If we go to the daily, now this is something that I think everybody's going to want to start utilizing and actually implementing, because it definitely paints a solid picture for how we can look at the market. So what is it? Daily bearish hidden divergence. So let's see where I was looking at. Am I on the daily, or did I mean to put weekly? Let's see. Yeah, I meant to put weekly, not daily. So let me change that. Now, So this is bearish divergence, or bearish hidden divergence, is when price, let's say from this peak, right? That's the most recent peak. From here upwards, right? That's clearly showing up. But if we go to over here, wait a sec. It's still, I think I did this part wrong. Let me verify this one sec. Yeah, this one actually isn't the one I was trying to look at. I have other examples, several other examples from all the other pairs I'm looking at. So this one's not actually the one I wanted. I don't know why I wrote that. All right, sorry, I had my Wi-Fi shut off, so let me get right back into it. Overall, we have I was saying that this is the weekly hidden divergence. That's not actually correct, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I got the daily overbought shark fin, completely overbought. It's hitting a resistance zone on the weekly, which is all we're really looking for right now. It's verifying the peak, which is what I like. Let me go down to what we see here. Imbalances on the 1 hour. So it's got to refill before it decides to drop. There is a pullback. So this is actually one of the things that I was looking at overall for a drop. AJ was one of my favorite setups so far. I actually have it written down as one of the sells to tell people to look for tonight. But before it does so, I do want to see it shoot up a little bit more. So based off of that, that's what we're going to be paying attention to for some pullbacks. And this is actually a perfect time to go over what the divergence is that I'm looking for. And on top of that too, it broke a trend line. So it broke this trend line, which is the first step of what we're looking for in some sort of peak reversal. And that's when the peak was called. This was set up 2 days ago. And if we go back here, 1, 2, this is the peak right up top. So this set up, broke structure, change of character, change this. All this was just a solid break. We have all the confirmations for what we need to look for. Step 1 on the 1, 2, 3 method is peak. Step 2 is change of character or break of structure. Step 3 is look for a pullback, and then we ultimately look for a shark fin that goes down. So one of the things that identifies a hidden divergence, and this is something that I was noticing over and over again, is there's divergence, which is reversal pattern divergence, and then there's divergence because hidden divergence, which is continuation. So if you notice, price right here is actually somewhat down, right? So you notice that this is a break down in structure, but if we go to the TDI, well, barely actually. This is about, motherfucker, dude. This is lower. So then this isn't, okay, so this isn't it. Let me, no, so this is just a clean change of character. What we're looking for is a clean break push up. Once we get that push up, and I have it set to, let me delete this. This is a Fibonacci, one of those sections. I want to see it push up to about right here, which is a recent structure point. Once it pushes up, it lines up with the EMA, the 50 EMA. Then we got the Fibonacci retracement. One thing I've noticed is that when price does come up to that aspect of the 50 after breaking structure and changing character to the low, it pulls back into this area, and we get a retracement from this down low all the way up to about the 61.8 of the 50. And right now it lines up like right in the middle. So once price gets up there, we'll start seeing something on a lower time frame. And that's when we're going to be able to really identify what we're trying to do. And this is actually what I was trying to refer to with the hidden divergence. I keep losing it, but I was doing it the opposite direction. So you have price right here, because if we're looking for sells, it needs to be on top. So right here, you got price currently down at the moment, right? So price is going down, and that's where I want it to go to. I want it to shoot up to this moment, to this part on the 50 EMA. But then you notice on here, it's slightly going up. It's just, and it's only going to go up a little bit higher, because if price is going to shoot up for a higher pullback, that means the RSI, this white line, is going to shoot up a little bit higher too. And when that does that, you're going to have the candlestick price going downwards still and the RSI price going upwards. That's hidden divergence. And what that promotes is continuation in the direction that we're already going. So in this case, and we want to be taking profits at structure points. That's just the easiest guaranteed way of being able to collect profits. So if it shoots up to here, hits that 50 EMA, throws a shark fin, and is lined up with the Fibonacci retracements all collectively, right? And on top of that, this line right here is a support zone. Then that means we're going to be selling this thing all the way down to the recent low, in which case we'll be looking for, if we get up to here, let's see. Why isn't this working? Okay. 100 pips, 90 pips. Like that's pretty solid. It's AJ. It's a fast moving pair. So that's what we're going to be looking for. And I think we're going to be having a good time. This is a verified sell that I like. I'm waiting for it to pull up a little bit higher. Then I'm going to be taking this one myself. So now let's go to gold. Gold didn't really have a lot. It's still struggling. I actually had this in for a sell yesterday. Let me see if I can get the period separators back on. Yeah, so I had it going down yesterday for sells, and it was actually pretty legit. This was the reason I sold it was hidden divergence, and this is something you're going to start hearing me talk about a lot more. We have price going down and price going up, and that's just the stop hunt, right? The stop hunt. What is a shark fin? Shark fin is a stop hunt. It's all a shark fin is. So I saw this shot up on the hour. I had actually entered prematurely, and then it shot up again. Once it hit this zone and maintained the shark fin, came back down, I re-entered, and my take profits were set to this peak right here, this little point, because gold is a very technical pair, and it shot down, and it worked out beautifully. So that was what we looked for that night. And I think there was a little bit more confirmation on the 15-minute. Let me just double check. Let me delete this. Yeah, the 1 hour is more so the better looking aspect. And I'm going to be doing more examples on trainings later on, but let's take a little further look on what we wrote down for gold. Approaching weekly support zone, and this is supposedly meaning that we're going to be continuing in the down section because of the 3 hits, right? Clear 3 hits to the high. Right now, these green zones right here, which are actually not supposed to be green, I changed them to to blue. Bullish box blue. All right, so these are all bullish imbalances. Now this is on a weekly, meaning, and it just tipped it. But this doesn't mean that, oh, it just tipped the top and it's going to drop down. I think it's going to drop a little further because this is a weekly massive imbalance. And within this imbalance, there is smaller imbalances. Like if we go to the 4 hour, you'll notice that to the left here, we have this zone that I drew up, but mainly once it loads up, give me a sec. Come on, load. Okay. There's zones in here all throughout price history. Every single one. Let me see if there's one on the actual daily. Maybe I can go back. It's not showing them for some reason. There we go. You got a daily imbalance here. If we go down to the 1 hour, it's not going to show all the way to the right here, but it will show price overall. These are just so, it doesn't show the boxes, but they're there because of how far back price went. Like this is an imbalance right here, and that's it within the zone. So it's got all these other smaller imbalances it needs to fill in that give it more of a solid reason as to why it needs to actually continue down. Overall too, it's been riding that water on the daily. If we take a look at this, so it's riding that 50 EMA, and the next place it wants to go to structurally is down. It broke that change of character to the downside here. Everything is still screaming down. Let me see what else I wrote. Currently entering the weekly imbalance, weekly divergence, which is right here. So we got the divergence painting the picture. So we got overbought, shark fin, clear as day. Now we're seeing the drop. I think it's going to drop down to this 50 EMA, to be honest, like it did right here. And when it drops down to that 50 EMA, we might find some hidden divergence for it to either continue up or it'll just be a pullback just to continue down to this recent low, right? But that's in the coming weeks. We still got plenty of time with that. Now let's check 3-day imbalance lines with the weekly support. That's what I wrote up here. There's an imbalance inside of this. Right here, this blue mark. So this is a support line that I drew up based on the weekly imbalance. And there's also a 3-day imbalance right there, right above the supply and demand zone that I drew up on the 4-hour. So then we have riding daily 50 EMA, heading towards the 12-hour supply and demand zone. That's what this is right here, the 12-hour. We look back, notice how price, before it shot up again, it did that pullback candle, the one we always talk about. Price shoots up, bearish candle comes in, doesn't take out the previous one. All that means is the pullback, and it did that over the last, over 36 hours here. So 1 12-hour, 2, 3, shot up, broke the structure, continued up. So this is the zone that we want to see it to drop down to. And on top of that too, it's inside of or it's riding, trying to stay within a channel, right? So this is the bottom of a 12-hour channel that I have drawn up, and it's also here. I didn't draw it up for the purpose of just like, didn't have that many aligned, but from here to here, you can clearly see it's within its channel. And this also lines up. So it might not go down and hit it tonight, but overall on the higher time frames, we are seeing it to be bearish. So it's going to continue down into this zone to line up with the channel, to line up with the support, to line up with the supply and demand zone. All of it. It all lines up perfectly. Now we have looking for pushes up tonight. Bearish still in the setup. This isn't my favorite setup tonight overall because of just how much it's actually just ranging. So because of recent price action, if you notice, every single time price makes a big move down or up, it always fills in these gaps. Same thing here. Goes up, fills in these gaps, going across. Same thing here. It's got gaps, imbalances, clear as day. It's going to go fill them. Once it goes and fills those, you can then look on a lower time frame, maybe like the 15-minute, 5-minute, and you start looking for those sells. They're going to continue down. So don't know if it's going to do that tonight. It could shoot up and hit this channel. If it does, you know you got yourself a solid sell, but just ultimately wait for it to rise up for your best optimal entry. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to get in too early and fuck yourself. So I'd say ignore that one for now. Now let's go to AUDCAD. AUDCHF, we are currently inside a daily, weekly imbalance. It may cause ranging, and that actually, when I say daily, weekly, if I go back to this, daily through weekly. So that means the 1-day, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, 6-day, weekly are all in an imbalance. So if I go to like the here just to prove it, so we got price inside of this imbalance, doesn't stretch all the way across, it only goes so far. It's currently inside of this imbalance, and it's also, this gray zone is a support resistance zone, but it means it's currently inside of it. So instead of it being red or green, it's like saying, hey, I'm inside of it, definitely pay attention. And so meaning if this was continuing up, this would have been red. So it's in a red resistance zone, and it's moving so in a sense where it might just consolidate a little bit more. And if it does consolidate, I'm still looking to be bullish on this. So overall, AUDCHF is still buys, but it is at the top of its little channel that it's in, so it could potentially push down. But let's continue the 2-day. Let me get rid of this. Oh, I got rid of the wrong one. Let me get rid of this. So it's inside of the 2-day imbalance. We go to the 3-day. 3-day imbalances right here, 1, 2, 4-day. And on top of that too, if you go back to the 3-day, you'll see that not only is it an imbalance, but it's also bouncing in between a resistance and support zone. And that's further explanation as to why it's consolidating or ranging on a lower time frame. So if you ever notice price just going back and forth, like look at the 1 hour. If you ever notice price just doing this shit, where it's just going up and down, go to the higher time frames. It's either in an imbalance or it's stuck in between two support resistance zones, and it's just consolidating, gathering up contracts to push even further. But based on what I'm seeing, it's overall still bullish. And no matter that, the fact that it's inside of a resistance zone and an imbalance, I still see it pushing higher because of all the recent structure that it's been breaking. And on top of that, I believe it has weekly divergence and daily. So you have price oversold going upwards. This has been the reversal it's been looking for. I think it's going to actually shoot up based on the weekly here to the 50 EMA. And when it does do that, we'll see some continuations, right? Because these hidden divergences that we look for, they tend to be on the 50 EMA on every time frame. It doesn't matter. You can literally find this. I would say mainly the 1 hour and the 4 hour and the 15-minute and the daily weekly. Other than that, they kind of start changing a little bit because they don't follow the same rules. But ultimately, this is that aspect of continuation to keep selling. So like here's an example that I'm talking about right here. If you notice, price pulled back to the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, but not only was it just pulling back to there, I see this. I see price, a point here and a point there, right? So you got a high and a lower high. And then here, which lines up with this peak right here, is lower than here. That's hidden divergence, right? That's a little hidden divergence. And what that means is that when it pulls back, it's just showing me the exact zone that I want to pull back. Now, if I understand this correctly, these pullbacks, these hidden divergences to the 50 EMA also line up with Fibonacci. So if I go to here and I break it down all the way to the low, you'll notice it pulled back right to the 61.8 and pushed up higher towards the 78.6. These are prime zones, right? If you don't know Fibonacci, look it up. It's universal stuff. It's one of, like, if you say God's mathematics, it's part of his algorithm. So it pushed up in the zone and it pushed into an imbalance, recent resistance, support turn resistance. All of it was just more confirmation. I'm creating a checklist, by the way, to be able to get you guys this stuff because this shit's so fire. And it dropped, fucking tanked, right? So if you can catch that on, I mean, that was on the weekly. I mean, imagine if you saw that on the weekly, like you literally would have been taking sells this whole week. You could have held it. So I think it could be presenting itself here to do it maybe just one more time. Maybe not for a full-on drop that we saw before because that move already happened, but we definitely would see it range or drop a little bit to catch a move down, and especially on this pair. I mean, that's a couple hundred pips. So, and if it does that, we pull into the imbalance and then we continue up. So that's what we'll be waiting for. 60 pushing the volatility bands. Let's see. I mean, it's already got hidden divergence here. It's another thing too. I mean, that was the weekly, right? So from here down is already hidden divergence. But that doesn't mean that we look for continuations. I think there is times where you have to know when to use it and when not to use it. In this case, I think this is one of those times where we don't use it. I think it needs to push up a little higher before we actually do see that. So we'll leave that alone. Daily bullish divergence. Let's go to the daily. Oh yeah, that's from here to here. This is regular normal divergence. So you got price going down. And then from here, you got shark fin, oversold, gave more leeway, broke the structure, broke this structure. This is clear as day, just like gold, how gold's riding the 50 EMA on the daily. This one is a little bit higher, but ultimately a continuation pattern that will shoot up towards this zone, towards this imbalance actually, that lines up with the 200 EMA. Inside of daily resistance zone, still looking for a sign. I already showed you that. Daily bearish hidden divergence, showed that. Looking for it to rise to the 200 EMA and then have a big move down, which is that same part, which is literally what I just explained. We're looking for it to shoot up and then we can see that pull back down to continue. Still consolidating. So overall, when I say it's still consolidating, I mean, it needs to break out of this trend line. It needs to break out of the structure, right? If it breaks here, If it breaks out of here, we'll see it pull back, and then it's going to retest this high, and then this high, right? So it needs to break out of this range before it does anything, because right now, I mean, because it's not doing it, this thing can just completely reverse down and then back up again. Like it's too chaotic. So I don't have it written down tonight. Now let's go to AUDCAD. This was another one that I have written down. I started, I put it in the hot picks on the Discord. So go ahead and check that out. Let me get this. Okay, so it's in a 4-day imbalance. So if we go to the 4-day, it's also ranging, right? So this was actually set for, this is a peak formation high, right? So we got a peak formation high on that, meaning we would be essentially looking for sells, but it's inside of an imbalance as we speak. Now it could drop a little bit further, which is very possible. It's bouncing off that 50 EMA, but it also could rise up a little bit. But I think it's actually going to drop a little bit more before we decide to go into that. So let's see, daily, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day bearish divergence. Let's go check it out. Daily. Bearish divergence. Let me see. I don't even know what the hell this is that I drew up. Is that hidden divergence? No. Go to the daily. Am I looking at the right thing? AUDCAD daily. Must have been tripping. 12 hour. I don't see anything. I mean, there's hidden divergence. I mean, from here to here, but not any bearish divergence. So from here to here, right? Which leads us to believe a push up, but I think this is actually going to be a pullback. So if we delete these, happened last night. Yep, that's what I was going to show you here. So we have price not only broke through this trend line, right? It broke through the trend line. Delete that. It broke through the trend line. It also had a break of structure. So like I was telling you right before I got started, was once we have that break of structure, we don't just sell it, right? Because that would just be illogical. Every time there's a new low, there's always a higher low. In which case, look what this lines up. Pulls back, hit the EMA, is also right on top of this resistance zone. And if this ends up working out, we could have a solid trade setup. So this is a 4-hour. Let me see if there's anything else I wrote. 4-hour bullish hidden divergence, going in line for the pullback, looking for bullish move up, then a move down. And I'm pretty sure, just like all these, there's something I noticed with all the AUD pairs, was that, let's say, so we have the 4-hour hidden divergence that I was telling you about. So if we zoom out here, you'll notice price from this peak over. This one's lower, that's higher, lower, or higher, and then lower. Okay, so just pointing that out, which makes me believe that we'll see something like this, right? So it definitely works for short moves, and then there's bigger moves if it is in line with overall direction based on structure and character. So, but I think what we're going to see here on the 1-hour, right? Because that 4-hour is painting a bullish move, but I think the 1-hour is actually painting it to be a reversal back down, right? So what we'll see is this shoot up, hit this zone, maybe shoot up a little bit higher, depending on how it goes. And then once it comes up to there, it'll shoot down. And when that happens, the RSI will go up like that. And then when that happens, we'll see bearish hidden divergence, just like this. And when it comes up and hits that zone, guess what? Because this is fresh, it'll tank. And because the EMAs are crossing, even the 50s crossing the 200, that's just a stronger indication that it wants to continue. And it happened the day before, right? It happened the day before. Let me show you what happened. Delete this trend line. We all know it broke it. Let's look at this. Ready? You have barely, well, let me zoom from here to here. It kind of stayed stagnant a little bit. It's a little bit higher. Nothing, it's not like outstanding, which is why I'm saying like I don't think it was the true one yet. But you do have price on the RSI hitting a resistance wall with this little peak being just a hair bigger. So it's nothing that stands out. So I wouldn't have said, yeah, that's a confirmed area, right? But what's making it more legit is the fact that it did break this structure. It is pulling back. And when it does do this bigger push up to fill in these imbalances, right? Look, it's got all these imbalances. Once it fills up and fills up those gaps, we'll then see that Fibonacci retracement too line up directly with where we want it to go. So from here down, look at that fib lines up. It literally lines up exactly where I drew it. And that's when we'll look for our sell. We'll see how it closes. You can go down to the 15-minute chart, see if maybe there is a shark fin that we can look for. If we notice that shark fin, then we can clearly take that sell. And I'm telling you, you guys are going to have fun because that is going to be a sell. If it does shoot up to here, you're looking at 58 pips on AUDCAD, 50, 60 pips, depending on how far it actually goes up. That's still fucking solid. And then on top, to verify the pullback up, right, we have regular divergence from price here going down, price oversold going up, regular divergence, inverted head and shoulders, shark fin going up here. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the move that actually pushes it up a couple times and then come around London session, because right now it's about to be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to see this thing happen around 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm telling you, you could probably take this thing for a fucking sell right there. Set your stop loss like 20 pips above and then put your take profit at the recent low, and you guys are going to have some fun. So I have that written down as one of the sells tonight. Let's go to AUDUSD. Is this making sense, by the way? For those of Douglas, Maya, is that making sense? Hopefully I'm not.
Yep, it's kind of.
What's up?
It's kind of making sense. Yep, it's making.
It's just repetitiveness. You start seeing it. Once you start seeing it, you'll see it. And if you have questions too, go ahead and type it as well, so you don't just sit there, because this is a chat. We can talk, and it's not just me being the leader here. And I'll answer it after I get done with everything, but we'll check it out. So AUDUSD. Inside daily resistance zone, and AUDUSD is a peak formation high. So that is a good sign right here. So it broke up, broke the structure, right? So notice how I said that every time it does break structure, in which case this is actually a change of character. And I'll prove it by going to here, style boxes, see? Change of character, which is the first step in a reversal. And the moment it did that, it's pulling back. And there's a couple things, right? So I'm a little bit hesitant on this pair. I do believe I said something right here. Yeah, it's in the middle of two setups, so it's best to see what it gives. And what I mean by this is that, one, it's saying it's a peak formation high. Therefore, we're looking automatically for this thing to drop. Now, it could drop, but not as like a major reversal. It's not even hitting an EMA, right? It's not touching an EMA in the daily that would tell me that it wants to drop all the way down. If anything, it actually broke that. It had a change of character, and it's retesting the 200. So what that tells me is that we want to be seeing this thing push up a little bit higher. So this peak formation might not be valid anymore. Let's see what we got. Daily broke through the 200. The 12-hour hit right off of the 800 EMA, which is why I believe it also was a confirmation for the peak for it to drop for that. And it's a very, When did it happen? 3 days ago. So, I mean, this was a 2-day peak formation high yesterday. Unless, no, this wasn't. This wasn't on the list. So it was a delayed aspect, but it doesn't matter because this is just going to help us set up for what we do want to actually see happen. Now, 4 hours bouncing off the 50 EMA with the bullish hidden divergence indicating a bullish move up. Now, let's check out the 4 hour. Get rid of that. So this was from here. No, that's not really the bullish hidden divergence I was looking for. I mean, from here to over, I don't really, something in my gut is telling me that as I can find hidden divergence everywhere, but I think if I go too far back, like right here, that this would really be validated, and that's something I'm still back testing. I think it's more so like recent peaks. So like right here to here would be what we would look for. So I don't really think that this is actually going to be a massive push up, even though some of the higher time frames are kind of showing it. Like if I go to the 8 hour, I think it's bouncing right off the 50 EMA. Could be wrong. Okay, I think it's either the 7 or the 6. It's bouncing off the 500. Yep, so it's bouncing off of the 50 EMA on the 7 hour, and I believe the 6 hour too. It's like riding it right on top of right beneath the candlestick. So yeah, which and it's a shark fin. So it's all painting this picture on these time frames that it wants to go up, but I don't usually trade these time frames, so I'm not going to sit here and believe like, oh yeah, look, it's just doing that, so let's take it up. Like this thing could easily continue down, and this could just be the false hidden divergence. It doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. So I ultimately want to stay in alignment with the peak. I think what we're going to do is wait for it to drop maybe one more day. I think it wants to pull back down into this zone towards this EMA, which would give us a area to play out a solid setup. So this would be like AUDCAD. Remember how I just explained how well, first off, we have regular divergence, right? So price going down. We have price oversold, extremely oversold, shark fin going up. Hence the pullback up. That's a short-term scalping reversal. But I think what we're going to see is it push up to this 50, maybe a little bit past it into this imbalance, which also lines up with the Fibonacci. So the 60, 61.8, right? If it pushes up there, it's a 61.8. And if it does shoot there, we'll also see the hidden divergence. Because right now, this peak right there is actually lower than the current RSI where it's at. So that means if this shoots up any higher, this RSI is going to go up. And this is where the hidden divergence will be, where we have the peak here going down, peak here going up. And when it hits that area, we'll see this thing completely drop down for that like 3-4 confluences that confirm it wants to shoot down, and you can take profit at that recent low, or you can have it go down towards maybe some of these support zones, or the EMAs, right? So that would be like take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3. So ultimately, I still think AUDUSD is more of a sell, even though some of the higher time frames wanted to go up. I'm going to actually put that down. AU for the sell. I like it, so I'm going to stick with that. Now we have NZDJPY. Excuse me, NZDJPY. Now this one, inside a monthly imbalance. Let's check it out. Right here. So it's inside of a monthly imbalance. And if this breaks, so if price goes above it live, like not just wicking it, but like above it currently, this disappears until it closes. When it closes, it fully disappears. But since it's beneath it, still riding it, and it's throwing all these wicks, and we have some sort of divergence, I mean, it's still riding the 50. I think we're actually going to see this push up a little bit more. And NZDJPY is set for peak formation high. Not sure if I fully agree with it yet, but we'll take a look. So currently respecting a daily and weekly resistance zone, daily through weekly. So if I go to the daily, up here, 2-day, it's in here. It's in that side of that red zone, but it did break structure, hence the pullback. And on top of that, too, it's throwing a pullback candle. Shot up, bearish candle down, doesn't take out the low. Doesn't mean it's going to instantly reverse up, but we could see it push down just a little bit more. And then we'll see it shoot up, right? And mind you, this is the 2-day, so this takes a minute to play out. And then I think it's on the 3-day. It's inside of a resistance zone as we speak. 4-day, same thing. It's retesting. It's actually creating an imbalance right now. So the fact that this is not closed yet, this is an official imbalance. This could shoot lower, and then this imbalance actually gets lower, smaller. 5-day, inside of it, it's all the same. So now we have no significant structure broken, so we could see moves up. That is verified by the 4-hour. This is the structure that I would wanted to see break because it was the most recent significant move, and all it did was bounce off of it. So I wouldn't say this is verified like AUDCAD or AUDJPY. It's not my favorite, but it doesn't mean it can't drop. But we're sticking to rules here. It's not following the rules. So I don't really have this. I don't have this pair written down for tonight. I don't really want to try to guess. I want to see it break, and then we can do something with it. Ultimately, this might end up breaking. I mean, and currently, as we speak, it is throwing hidden divergence. Notice, you guys noticing the same thing over and over again? It's like, it's literally the same shit. Every time there's a solid peak formation that is legit, that is verified by support zones, resistance zones, etc., and it has that clear break, there is always a pullback to this 50 EMA, and it usually presents hidden divergence, which is continuation. So the fact that we're seeing this pop up now, notice how it didn't pop up here, right? From here to here on the price is still matched up with this. So that's not hidden divergence. That's not the verified area. But what we're seeing here is that, and it could be leading up to what we want to see for a sell. All we need to do is wait for the verification. So from here down, look where it matches up. Shoots up a little bit more. This shoots up a little bit more to the overbought zone. Throws a shark fin. We have a verified sell for it to drop down and maybe go down to the recent low. But because it didn't break this structure, that's one less confluence. So I'm curious to see how this plays out, knowing for the fact that it didn't break it. I'm not just going to assume that all the other pairs look the same, so it's going to drop. We need to see how it plays out. But based on what I'm seeing so far, once it shoots up a little bit higher, if it decides to do that, it could just reverse right here because this is an NZD pair and it is Asian session time. This could actually drop, but I'm going to see. I'm going to wait for this to shoot up a little bit more, and then we coming back inside. It's inside of a 4-hour supply and demand zone. Is it? Yeah, it is right here. Boom, boom, boom. Right. So it bounced inside of it. That's why price reversed. And on top of that, it retested the low. Didn't even hit the 50 yet. Then we have 1 to 4-hour bullish divergence. I already showed you that. 1 hour's oversold is in the oversold zone, meaning we want to see this thing push up. That's what it did here. I think it's going to push up just a little bit more. And then hard to say direction a little bit, gut saying bullish. So, and I said that mainly because of the higher time frames, because they were usually just pointing up and it didn't break that structure. And on top of that too, look at this. It's retesting this structure that it broke. It went to the daily. You notice the dotted line right there. It's retesting structure that it broke, which is showing signs of bullishness. So that's why I'm undecided. Even though this still looks good for what I want to see, there are higher time frames indicating that it may want to go up a little bit more than what I think. So I'm going to be hesitant on this. Let's wait and see. Now let's go to NZDUSD. Inside of bullish monthly imbalance. So we obviously are looking more so bullish at the moment. And this is NZDUSD for peak formation high. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a sell, but it's just letting us know, like, hey, we could be seeing some sort of consolidation occur. It is inside of a channel at the moment. We got the tops here, got the bottoms here, and it's inside that bullish. Doesn't mean it's going to just automatically reverse yet. So we still got time. Let's go to the weekly. Stuck inside bearish daily channel, which is this whole zone right here, which I just showed you. It is wicking on that daily, which doesn't mean it can't drop, but shows signs of weakness in the sellers. Let's see, 4 hours bullish hidden divergence. It's all in, every single one has hidden divergence in them. I'm going to be using this as a fucking staple in everything that I do. So it's bouncing off these EMAs. And this is kind of the same situation as NZDJPY. The only difference between NZDUSD and NZDJPY is this one had a clear break. So this was the point, and it broke through with that wick, but it's pulling back up, which is only making me think that this is actually wanting to continue up. And I'm actually wrong. This is not, I must have been comparing it to here. So this is showing the hidden divergence, but I think it all depends. I have to see how this plays out for me to get my eyes used to it. Let me go to setting up for pullback on the 50 EMA with bearish hidden divergence. So the 4 hour is showing bullish hidden divergence, but the 1 hour is showing potential bearish, just like all the AUD pairs. How it is currently where it's at. If it shoots up more, it'll be a hidden divergence, and it'll hit that 50, and then we'll see a drop again. But this one's a little bit better because it broke here, right? We have more verified zones, and this clearly was the most important one because look what it did. It dropped down through a W and then shot right back up again. So it's clearly a significant area, and it broke it. So this could just simply be the pullback, which is why I like NU more for a sell. I have that written down on the sells as well. And we'll see how it ends up playing out. I mean, because this 50 EMA is the, or no, yeah, this 200 EMA on the 1 hour is the 4 hour, the 4 hour 50 EMA. But that's not any hidden divergence at all. That's just something else. So we're going to find out how this ends up playing out, but I am overall bearish on this one. So we'll find out how it ends up playing. Let's go to US 30. I'm going to do this one and then one more, and then I'll keep it at that because there's a bunch of, this took me hours to write up, surprisingly. So let's see. US 30. It is for peak formation high. What did I have written down? Oh, damn it. Close. Bouncing off weekly resistance zone, ranging between weekly support and resistance zones, right? So that's one thing for anybody trading US 30. You'll notice this. It's got the zone here. It's got a zone here with an imbalance. And all it's doing is going in between it. Like literally, the moment it broke through and went down, it was like here, bing, 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 like pinball, ping pong going down. So I think what we're going to see is that exact thing happens. So I think it's going to stay in that zone. So ultimately, the fact that it's in it right now, we want to be looking for sells, and this is a peak formation high. So that kind of validates the direction. Now we just kind of have to fine tune our entry. So we got daily divergence inside the inside resistance zone. So if we go to the daily, okay, I see it. It's going to get more clear on a lower time frame, but you got from this top of the candlestick to there, overbought there, right? So that's the divergence I'm talking about. Then you have 4 to 12 hour bullish hidden divergence. That means on every time frame from the 4 hour to the 12 hour, there was some sort of bullish divergence. And we know it to be true because this is the peak. This is the 4 hour, right? So from here down, it's going downwards, clear. And then we have this going upwards, right? So that paints a picture for it to go up, just like all the other pairs. Like literally every pair that I went over tonight, they all look exactly the same. Not all the same time frames, but how they play that part of divergence, bouncing off the 50 and then continuing. So these are all potential big moves happening on all these pairs just because of where they're all lining up. They're all pulling back on some sort of time frame to the 50 EMA, and it's a matter of is it going to be the move, or is it going to break through and not be the right thing today? So delete these. No confirmed change of character. So the fact that it is supposed to be a sell, and what we wanted to break is this location right here, and it hasn't done so yet, doesn't give this a verified look, right? It's not verified. And to try to trade it ahead of time is just illogical. It's emotional. So this is not verified for a sell yet. You probably have a better chance for it to go and be a buy. So I would hold off on this pair. It doesn't mean it can't drop tonight, but it's not verified. It's not something I can say for sure is the right answer. So we're gonna have to stay back and kind of let it play out. Stuck between two setups. Got is saying to be patient. Yeah. So I'll see what it does in this 1 hour. I have the Fibonacci written out. It could shoot up here or higher, but I'm probably not going to trade this. I never really trade this pair anyway. So, and then we're going to do one more, which is AUDCHF. And this one was for 4 days, peak 4 days ago, peak formation high. And we have it written out for the daily, bounced off a resistance zone and is looking to head back down to daily support. Let's go to the daily. Right here, it threw multiple wicks off of the zone. And this specific point, which is verified by this right here, clear as day. Look at that. Boom. Wicked it. Going down to this support line and this support zone to retest it. Right. So this is something we got to pay attention to. See what it plays out, because this thing can go up a little bit more actually. I think I actually had this in for, yeah, that's funny. I took a demo trade on this just to test out the theory to see if it was going to go up more, and I took it out early because I didn't want to be premature and just say, oh yeah, it's gonna go all the way up here, but it's actually playing out the way I had it written out, which is pretty cool. So, and that just goes to show that you can trade in between it, right? If you start seeing how the patterns go, I mean, you can trade in between knowing how the structure is going to go. But obviously that is not always recommended, because then you're going to try to force setups that are not there. It might as well just wait for the best one. So AUDCHF is a confirmed area. I think it's going to drop another day, knowing that if I go to the 4 hour, it broke structure to the downside here, right? It broke this structure going across, and it broke our trend line. So if we do here, going across, right? It broke through it, bounced off the 800 EMA, all confluences, off the resistance zone, 4 to 12, bullish hidden divergence. We'll see if that's even going to be valid. 1 hour setting up for a pullback for the EMA, see my response, and saying drop. So I think it's going to shoot up into this imbalance, hit the 50 EMA on the 1 hour, and then from there, we're going to see it drop down to that zone right here. We're going to see it drop down to this zone, right down to this low here. All right. So I have it set to 0.60 or 0.60511, and that'll just confirm the overall direction for it to continue to drop. So that's what I'm looking at. I am going to be noticing. So that's what I wanted to happen, but I'm trying to see how the higher timeframes play out to see if they're going to respect what I'm seeing on here, because this is hidden divergence, right? It's clear as day. From here to here and from here to here is clear hidden divergence. So that means that this could respect it a little bit more. Ultimately, we're going to find out. So if this ends up doing what I think it is, then we'll know. I mean, but I'm going to stick to what I think. I think it's going to shoot up, and then we're going to see it shoot down one day, and then we'll take it from there. But other than that, thanks for hopping on, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow for those of you that are in our membership area or on doing our trial. And yeah, we'll continue to keep putting out some fire content. Talk to you guys later.